government is playing with fire.
Paying out $4.5 billion is not like going down the road and buying rice and coming back, you know. This is a serious undertaking. And of course, it has to be done in a certain way, especially when the money to make the payment was not there. Give us some credit. We are almost at the point of having the money to pay. So we've made some progress.
Okay, but why is it so difficult? And this is the thing I suppose ordinary citizens struggle to understand at times. It appears to be quite difficult to get a complete grasp as to exactly what is the full level of indebtedness of the country.
Well, we in the cabinet, we are finding that out within the 6-month period. What we knew in September is different to what we know now, because it's been a moving target, because many things were not upfront to us. For example, we have discovered recently that there was a series of serious borrowings in the publics, in the state enterprise sector, which had not been made known to the country. The Minister of Finance is confronted with these things every week, where the last government would have borrowed $500 million here or $1 billion there, under the understanding that it will be repaid in 3 to 6 months. We told you that.
Yeah.
We didn't hide that. The Minister of Finance has discovered on many instances when we think this is a situation, the public servants come to him and say, Minister, we have this money coming to be paid in 6 months. So money that was borrowed in June or August last year, $500 million, $1 billion to be repaid now. You know what we've been doing? The same government which is being said doing nothing. We have had to go to the banks and renegotiate those loans from short-term loans that the last Minister of Finance didn't tell us anything about to longer-term loans, because if you don't have money to pay, the next thing that's available to you is to extend the credit. And we have been doing that, not once, but repeatedly, as they appear out of the woodwork. Well, we don't know what's going to come up this morning as I speak to you, but in recent weeks and months, they just kept appearing. Right? There's one state enterprise that we discovered had $500 million buried in the company, which was put there for the last election, but they didn't have a chance to spend it. Nobody told us anything about that. We just discovered it inside. And that's the kind of thing that went on. And instead of pointing fingers at this government for not doing this and not doing that, the very people who did that are out front telling you that this government is not doing this and not doing that. But we have to tell you what the situation is so you can understand why we are doing things in the way we're doing it.
And are you concerned, therefore, Prime Minister, that more of these situations, more of this covert information will start to come out, and indeed the April 8th presentation might actually have to be adjusted even further?
We can only go on the information that we have. And I said to you earlier on when we began that 6 months into government, we are in a better position than we were in September, because we have seen more. We've got more of the facts as against what we anticipated. And we have been able now to determine what are the options that we can choose. And of course, if the situation continues the way it is, it will probably require, and more than likely, that April 8th when we speak, that is not the final position, because when we go into 2017, the kinds of one-off payments we had in 2016 may not be available. When we did the budget in October 2015, we didn't lose the steel industry then. The gas situation, you know, a plant was closed down last week. 60 workers lost their jobs. When I looked at the information, you know what happened there? There were 2 of those plants in Trinidad and Tobago. The one that they closed had been having difficulty getting gas since 2014. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
But you had a Minister of Energy who was telling you what a wonderful situation and how he was the best Minister of Energy in the world to get an award and so on, and that this thing was very temporary and it will be fixed by so and today. All of it was not true. Because this plant, since 2014, couldn't operate properly because it didn't have gas. Eventually, in 2016, they closed it down. So, this is a scenario against which you had a change of government. I was shocked as Prime Minister to hear the Minister of Finance telling the Parliament, he didn't tell me at the point in time, he had just found out that the last Prime Minister approved a loan of $1 billion to TNTech. We knew nothing about that. I mean, I was in the Parliament, you in the country, did you know that?
No.
Well, right, that's a fact. $1 billion TNTech was allowed to borrow. We just found that out.
Oh God, I really had a laughing. But the people who voted UNC, thank you for finally we see boats patrolling, refinery open, your money stop flowing from P&M. That's why all you're angry. Well, Let me tell you something, soldier. You know why I'm angry about? 62,000 poor people on the breadline after this government passed through. Like poor people. You know, people who give away money. People was working for the money. I just try to understand this narrative, or they'll be pushing about how people wasn't working. Like really. Or they didn't see how the place get when the same people wasn't working. Or refinery open. Although they getting prayers right now. Or refinery. Oh God, and I never talk right here and you see want to sell the refinery. Remember all they was making them accusations against PNM? When PNM was leasing the refinery because when all they cuss out the Jindal from here, then after all they make us set up bacchanal about the man from Nigeria, Kwando, all they was saying he coming to buy the refinery, this time is lease, but all they was, that is the promotion, all they was promoting that. All they was pushing that narrative, so the people and them, oh, PNM selling the refinery. Yeah. And what you're talking about, you're finally seen boats patrolling, like really? So you said UNC come in and buy them boats. Them boats wasn't there all the time. The boats them wasn't patrolling. It come like just the other day when all Kamala meet Trump. That the first time a Trinidadian Prime Minister meet an American President here. First time they meet here. Everything is first time. First time Kamala is the greatest thing since sliced bread. She's a miracle worker. Things that just appear that never appeared before. The same woman, the same Kamala who tell Trinidad and Tobago that the war on crime is not on the sea, is a lie. The same woman, when she was fighting down PNM crime plan, when PNM was bringing the same OPV, same boats now, remember? So I try to understand the hypocrisy and the bullshit in our way. Oh, good, yes. Are you wrong one? Let me let you know one time, eh? I is the wrong one. If all in all, they comment to me, comment something with something now, some substance now, but they always comment some jackassness and repeated talk like all they hear. Or you see, this is the show. This is the showing the level of mindset all they carry. All they can think for themselves. All they only believe what people tell all they and all they running with a particular narrative. So the same repeated narrative, debunk narratives. People continuously coming and showing all the documents, the direct documents, the documentation from all the reputable source, ministry outlets, this, that, even international organizations that evaluate these things. We give all of the information. And yet, all they bypass every freaking thing and don't care. Because why? All they have a narrative. It's a spoon-fed narrative to continue. It helped all over the election. But the thing is about it, I don't know if all they go win again because the people and them, the nation, waking up, people opening their eye, people starting to read, understand? And people, my fans, the people who follow me, seeing and going back and research and checking for themselves. That's why I see more and more every day, more and more people listening to me. Because when I give the facts, I give the documentation, and I tell the people, okay, do your own research, find out the information for yourself, and evaluate it from there. Don't wait for a narrative to be spoon-fed to you. Like how they did with this Balize house. Like, remember we was all the years, they forget all the years there was doing all these, for 15 years, they take to build that one place. 15 years. All different things they do. Understand? To build that building. Because, you know, that is bacchanal with we in search now. Yeah, so I have to have a distraction so people won't pay attention. Because, you know, UNC's optics and PR and unnecessary glazing and them is the glaze thing. Because if Kamala walk up a steps, oh, snap, Kamala walk up a steps. Woo-hoo! Nobody never do that before, but she walk up her steps. If Kamala sit down in her pretty car, or she shakes somebody, oh, look what Kamala do. What an excessive glazing. excessive glazing. And I just had a laugh. And I just have to laugh.
You know, I saw this comment and I just had was to make a video about it. You know, a lot of people still believe that Trinidad is a African island. She said, she's speaking about Penny Beckles. She said, she is an African lady. Trinidad is African nation. This is the last time of any UNC government. 5 years coming soon. Indian race is not foundation people of African Trinidad nation. Indian people came here as servant or Indians. This person clearly doesn't really know the history. Or they clearly is a racist person that just made this comment. Yes, the Indians came as laborers, we came as slaves. But you notice one thing that we both have in common? We came. We was never here. So you can't say Trinidad is an African nation or an Indian nation. We all are visitors. No, we are Trinidadians. What is wrong with you people? How in this modern day, in this age and time, you people are thinking like this? I feel so sorry for you people. And all you have children. And this is exactly what they're teaching all the children. Right?
Strategy is a hell of a thing. There's something called winning a battle without fighting a war. And if a government could be so vindictive, so aggravative, or you're literally pushing the people to a point where you aggravate the people. You push the people till the people can't take it no more. Or you push the people until eventually the people say, what, enough is enough. And then automatically you're leading them now into your trap. So that when they get fed up and they get tired and they can't take it no more, all you know pressure this bus pipe. So eventually they will lash out. And when they lash out, there is where you have your armed forces waiting in their body armor and the big gun to rinse it on them, to empty the clip on them, and because that's what it seems to me, this is what I see going on. This is why I see presently taking place in Trinidad and Tobago. Well, now you make a unprecedented move. Then you make the PNM and them look real good. Because even though we would have went through protests under the very same PNM, and we also would have been met by the law enforcers dressed in their uniform of brutality, it still wasn't like this. This is a whole different scape. This is a whole different scene. I know if it's probably extra security by President Trump and enforce it more. But this is what I see in, right? As a big woman with experience and pride, at your age, a way you could come and lie to the public, a public of so many people, many of them still older than you are, a public with so many young people who are young, intelligent, they have their head on, and they're very observant and seeing all that is taking place. Not now, but probably from 10, 20, maybe even 25 years ago. And their eyes are open. And now that a SOE put in place in order for you to silence the people and keep the people from speaking out or coming out, because you're fully well known and aware of the things that you all will be doing to the people. And in order to keep that in control, you now have to go and legislate new laws, which is not the law, which is literally an infringement and try to silence people for freedom of speech, for the freedom of movement, for having the right to gather in peaceful protests. The SOE don't stop these things. The SOE cannot stop a peaceful protest, for it is a right declarated. And no laws cannot make by the court or by the government to infringe on these natural rights that you was birthed with. So all you're leading the people into the trap, because it's like all you want to see them dead fast. Aggravate them when they come out and they start to misbehave, kill them. And like the codent. Brothers and sisters, all let us be safe out there. I don't like this case and this cause that is going on where when we protest together. We come in a protest together. Nobody not supposed to leave nobody behind where a protest is concerned. The police not supposed to be able to single out certain people and arrest them in any protest. That is where Trinidad and Tobago people are lacking. Kudos to everybody who came out and went out on that protest and stand up for them days in solidarity for justice, where justice is needed. This crime and evil things will continue to spiral when good people stay quiet. And in this case, there's still too many good people staying quiet about what is going on. Hence the reason why it is so easy for them to disperse a crowd of people who peacefully protesting. Trinidad and Tobago, we have to get more serious. If the same way the police or the enforcers could call for more backup and send out, this is where we as a people are supposed to be able to send for more backup and more people come out the same way. They take 1 or 2 or 3 persons, everybody's supposed to be by the station. Everybody. Let them lock up everybody. Give them more work to do. Don't make it easy for them. This is what real protesting is about. You do protest for a few hours and then when it's time to go, the police marking certain people, they're videotaping, they're taking pity of certain people, and then after when they're marking you, they're watching all the way you're going now, and then after boom, they're timing you, and then bam, they're going and they follow you and they're going with you. From the time anybody out of the protest or other people in the protest here, well, look here where you seen Sammy get locked up, Shelly get locked up, or this one get locked up. I told you, here where you seen all the people we gotta gather again, be going down by the station, whether it's Woodbrook, whether it's St. James, whether it's CID, whether it's way. All you have to learn to make all your presence heavy in these places for this thing to work. You see how that is multiply upon us? Because they don't count everybody who out there already. But as a nation, we have to start to have each other's back. Because if we don't, we will continue to just fade away. 1 by 1, 2 by 2, 3 by 3, 4 by 4. And it's lessening down every time. Putting more and instilling more fear into the rest of the public. Trinidad and Tobago, you stay safe. Have a good one.
The government intends to borrow $1 billion US. And what does it really mean for Trinidad and Tobago? Well, the government has signaled plans to borrow $1 billion, about 8 billion TT. Now, borrowing by itself is not good or bad. How the money is used is what matters. Possible short-term benefits, you have temporary relief for foreign exchange shortages, boost of foreign reserves, economic stimulus if spent on infrastructure and job creation. Now, the serious risk is the national debt increases sharply and they plan to go to about 18 billion TT. This means higher interest rate payments, reduced future spending on health, education and social services. Risk of higher inflation, potential credit rating downgrade, making future borrowing more expensive. The critical question is if the money is invested in productive export earning projects, the economy can grow enough to repay the loan. If it goes into recurrent spending, waste or political handouts, the country is left with more debt and no new income. Bottom line, US $1 billion can either stabilize the economy or burden future generations. Transparency, discipline, and clear good plans are not optional. They are essential. The public deserves to know where exactly will the money go and how will it be repaid. This also comes on the backdrop of $1 billion already. Well, they had a talk about $2.3 billion missing prior to the elections of April 2025. But several reports indicate that they have already taken $1 billion out of the coffers, and there is no trace, there is no mention, there is no explanation as to where that money has been spent or where it went, etc. So this is definitely a story to pay attention to, and we'll keep looking at it and bring you updates as soon as we have them. Stay tuned.
That has me the most worried about what I see taking place. Because you have to look at where the attacks came and where the attacks were directed at. The first place in the financial system, which people is the heart and the backbone of an economy. The first place they targeted is the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago. First place they reach. And they got rid of the governor of the central bank. I am representing him, so I wouldn't say anything about that because I will be talking about it in court. But the first thing they did, and they put immediately, because they had him ready, is that their former Minister of Finance. And I'll tell you what unfolded there. So Central Bank down. The next place they attack is First Citizens Bank. First Citizens Bank, they lick it up. Put their people inside, move the CEO, change the board. And when you look at the composition of the board, you have now a chairman of that board who's also chairman of UDCOT. And I saw something about how he complaining about everybody now asking him this and asking him that. Do not take it for granted. So FCB down. Right here in their budget document. In the budget document, they have told you what they're going to do. This is what they told you. We have installed new boards at First Citizens Bank and the Exim Bank. And we will move to install a majority of directors at Republic Bank Limited. It's in the papers today. And this is what he goes on to say. I am proud to announce that in our efforts to build economic fairness, Tobago's interests will be represented on all three boards with a Tobagonian on each board. Central Bank down, FCB down, Republic Bank down. When you begin to attack the financial institutions of an economy and of a country, let me tell you what will happen next. It is downgrade, interest rates will go up, bondholders who have Trinidad and Tobago's paper and who lend money to Trinidad and Tobago are now going to be looking on and saying, hold on, there's more risk because they have destabilized the financial backbone and heart of Trinidad and Tobago. And if that begins to happen, crapo smoke we pipe and God help Trinidad and Tobago. Because after downgrade, interest rates gone up and next thing is devaluation. And the IMF. They are doing this in front of face. And let me tell you what else happened. They came in.
It took me a while to decide to do this video because who and what I'm going to talk about, they tend to personalize and attack you with venom. But again, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Let's go. So the other day I was watching Parliament when they had to debate the bill in the House, the budget, within the upper house, the Senate. And what I witnessed was truly disappointing and it was distasteful. I saw a senior member of Parliament attack and drag a junior member of Parliament, attacking his education, insinuating about his sexuality, and it was the full 9 yards. And for the love of everything, I can understand how this related to the budget. How? And then we tend to wonder why young people don't want to work with experienced persons and see them as elders, because experience doesn't necessarily mean maturity. Because if in that instance that Curry Master would have done something within the parliament to offend a senior member of the house, schooling someone with dignity while keeping that young person's dignity intact will gain you their respect so much more than becoming so distasteful. Imagine as a young person, Kareem is there representing the constituency of Levantil West, but not only Levantil West, young people are looking at him and saying, okay, at least there's a voice I can relate to. Young people are also looking at Senator Rishi Daniel from the UNC side and saying, hey, I can look at him too. Because if any senior member of the House, both on opposition or government, attack any young parliamentarian in such a way that, what's his name, Minister Anna Roberts did, I can support it. And what I'm telling you right now is that it could come from any side. That's not the way. That's really distasteful. It was a complete disappointment. And now, like, we have long gone the days where you would see Patrick Manning giving way for Basdio Pandey and Basdio Pandey giving way for Patrick Manning. Our leaders now, what you're seeing is hate. You're seeing is vile. It is, and we are supporters. We picking it up. We pick and we run with it. We, as a matter of fact, are saying we, but we don't have respect for difference of opinion, you know. The moment you speak up, that's it. And then we say in one hand, we want the young people to lead and come forward and take responsibility and all that kind of thing. But look what's happening in the parliament. Unacceptable. That is not it. So because a point was made or a question was asked, we attack the personal life. That's the example we set to now. Come, leaders. This is not the example at all we need.
For Kamala and the UNC to deliver what they are promising, it means a devaluation. And I am telling you here tonight, and I have evidence that their plan is a devaluation of the dollar is coming. The IMF and the World Bank, if you go back and check their reports on Trinidad, have been saying you need to float the dollar. They've been saying to the PNM government, you cannot keep your dollar at 6.8, float it. For 10 years, this PNM government has fought tooth and nail to make sure this isn't done. The UNC's plan is to float the dollar. And let me show you, I have a document here tonight. The UNC's National Economic Transformation Master Plan for 2020 to 2025. And it says, a new UNC government will commit to the following.
The Minister of Finance will work with Central Bank to make sure that our exchange rate is competitive.
For those who don't understand what that means to devalue our dollar. She goes on to say the UNC plan for 2020 to 2025. The Ministry of Finance under the UNC will work with the Central Bank to ensure Trinidad and Tobago's exchange rate is competitive, eliminating the current dirty managed float and allowing market forces to operate. Hold on, because they will come tomorrow and tell you that document don't exist. Play the next video that shows, as of today's date, the document's still on their website. Show the people.
Eliminating the current dirty managed float and allowing market forces to operate within.
So I sat with the economists and I said, what is it going to devalue to? How can they afford this that they're promising? I stand here today and warn Trinidad and Tobago that if the UNC gets into power on April 28, 2025, no matter what they say, they are going to devalue our dollars 15 to 1. 15 to 1.
I would like to ask the opposition leader, Kamala Persad-Bissessar, this question. Why you want the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago to step down, the PNM leader to step down right away and call an early election? Because you think you're going to get an easy win? Kamala, PNM as it is right now, you cannot beat them. So give us a chance, the rest of us, who you're calling third party and this and that, which the Trinidad and Tobago National Democratic Front is one of the first political organization. And we stand first in all we do, and we're going to win in 2025 a chance to prepare yourself. And you should do as the Prime Minister do and step down. Because as I said, Kamala Persad-Bissessar, leader of the UNC partnership, you need to step down because as PNM is, there is no damn way in hell you beating them in this year 2025. Follow Rowley now. Rowley made the right decision in stepping down, giving PNM another chance to win a third election in 2025. Why don't you, as I said, do the same? Step down, move your ass out of the way, give a young person in the UNC a chance, maybe Makila, so UNC, that partnership, could have a chance to win in 2025. With you there, no way, no way.
When the Prime Minister was in opposition, she said you cannot tax a nation into prosperity.
What is the new tax? Help me understand that. No, where the new tax?
Oh, so you hear all the tax?
Where? Just give me 3 new taxes. Go ahead.
So you want me to read
that? What are the 3 new taxes?
Huh?
Go ahead. 3 new taxes.
Go back and get the script.
All right. How about this? 2 new taxes. Go ahead.
Go back and get the script.
Look at simple one again now.
Go ahead.
You now get some machines from the police.
What is the new tax? What is no. Listen. Traffic laws have always been in place. Speed guns have always been in place. What is the new tax? Tell me that.
You know we have to pay for that.
What is the new tax? Okay, so buying equipment, we shouldn't buy equipment. No, that's not what you're on. You never say the government spending money wrongfully. No, hold on. You said, Kamala said you cannot tax a nation into prosperity, which is correct. Hold on. I am agreeing there. What is the new tax that Kamala Persad-Bissessar brought about? Just give me 2. Give me 2. What are the 2 new taxes? I've given you plenty, ample time to tell us. 2 new taxes. I moved from 3 to 2. Come on.
You only have to listen to all the taxes, David.
I'm listening now. Give me 2 taxes.
No, I am not going to read and spend for you.
Because you cannot. That's why. Caller, you're live.
Yes, 2 new taxes.
Yes.
100% duties on every container that is imported. And every landlord has to pay a tax on their owners.
All right, no problem. Let's debate it. The landlord is a surcharge. All right, what is it total? It does. Hold on. I just allowed you to. But what is this one?
Hold on.
You want to engage in dialogue or not? Which one? Lovely. The surcharge for landlords. What is the total amount that landlords have to pay additional that cost needs to be passed on to the man on the ground? What is the additional? How much additional? Every 6 months.
Excuse me?
What is the total amount? If it's a tax, right? You telling me it's a new tax. What is the total amount that landlords now have to pay? Tell me that.
Something of either 2% of their rental income.
What is the total amount?
Well, I don't know. What is your...
Lovely. Thank you so much. You know why you... No. Hold on. You know why... Hold on. Hold on.
Negroes, Africans for sale, how I describe you.
I willing to engage, you know.
Like
you see.
You need done you could talk to the tell Arabic.
No, my good sir. I am.
That with the passing on.
Hold on.
I do not know what my
PNM Batara.
Hold on.
PNM Batara.
All right. No, I'm not. Sir.
Negroes for sale. I'm sorry for them. Think for yourself, brother.
All right, brother. You see, no, hold on, Kingsley. What all people could do is come and say, well, this is it. There's the 2 new taxes. How is it affecting is what I want to know, all right? Landlords have a surcharge to pay. You know why landlords have a surcharge to pay? It's a registration for them. It is because there's a lot of businesses and a lot of people in Trinidad and Tobago that go off and create property or rent out their property, and they are making income on it. While you, Kingsley, working here on Talk City 91.1 FM, you have to pay your taxes to the state. Anything that is considered income, you have to pay a tax on that to the state. Yeah. And if your rent increasing for a landlord surcharge for tax on income that you have to pay, right? You renting your property. You want to create income in Trinidad and Tobago. You want to become rich in Trinidad and Tobago, but you don't want to pay any taxes on it. And it's not to say the landlord surcharge was just brought about for the small man only. It is for the big conglomerates as well. Like in them. Everybody have to pay a landlord surcharge. You want to make income in Trinidad, or you wanna earn the TNT dollar, you have to pay the taxes to the government as well, so we can maintain the roads, maintain the streets, maintain food prices. We have bills to pay as well when it comes to the government. You all can't be so naive in thinking that. And then when you call the radio station and I say, well, give me 2. You can't give me 2, and then you have another caller call back to give me 2, but he can't talk about it 2. And telling me I dance because I read it. I understand it. You refuse to read and understand. All you want to do is say, well, things rising in Trinidad, the government wicked. But when Rowley wanted to bring property tax and tax you for your TV, tax you for that microphone you have in front of you, tax you for the phone you have in your house, tax you for the type of internet box you have on your wall, tax you for dog kennel.
Online taxing was a hurt to me.
Online tax. The dog kennel you charging you
everything.
For. The mat that you have on your ground you're charging you for. You say, yeah, and they defend that saying, well, the U.S. have it, right? And people in the U.S. have it.
So we'll pay too.
But people in the U.S. also pay their taxes, more taxes than us actually, because they pay for everything. Nothing is really nationalized. Well, not nationalized. Let me say social, basically, because we have social welfare in Trinidad. They don't really have that across there, you know.
Wow.
They had to pay for everything, you know.
Yeah.
Obama brought Obamacare, and that hurting the U.S. economy in time to come. Right? Anyway.
Trinidad and Tobago, pleasant good morning. Now I am watching the expression of the new opposition leaders, who is the PNM, faces. And I want to ask all a question, the opposition leader now, the new opposition leaders, the PNM, what are they expecting from the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago? Or they feel we have been dotish all the days of our lives, right? Or they insult we to the lowest. Or they left us hungry. Or they left us to dead by the wayside. So they didn't expect the people of Trinidad and Tobago to rise up. Or they didn't expect the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago to stand up for what is right, to save themselves and their future generation. And now what they want to do, what? Make a comeback? How are they making that comeback? I would like to know, because let me tell you something. You see the trauma this PNM government would have put the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago through for the past 10 years. It scarred the heart, the minds, and the soul of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, especially me. So you see all this bullcrap, all they talking about, all they going to rebuild and they're going to do this and they're going to do that. In my book, the PNM had to take a long rest, smash up, scramble, new faces, and they could check we back in 100 years. All you did enough. All you overgone. All you overdo. With no remorse. All you even try to bully all your way through. And all they still want to do what? What all they want a chance to come back to do what? No, I have nothing against Miss Penelope Beckles. She's a woman like myself. Woman power. But the PNM is who made the PNM lost the election. Not the people. The people just rise up because they decide they're fed up and enough is enough. All you fix all your business and all you leave we hungry. All they leave us to die, all they turn around and blame we for everything that happened. Why is all they fixing all their business and all they expected to stay in power? Come on, because you know why all they go Rowley, remember Rowley said we dotish, right? So let's tell all they say this the same dotish people, all they coming back to bamboos their head and get back in power again. But with Trinidad and Tobago, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago show all you that we had enough for all you, we fed up all you. All you forget the assignment. All you supposed was to put the people before the party. And all they didn't do that. And all they tried to bully all the way and insult the people. Drag them down to the ground like if we were nothing. And all they wanted to still stay in power. I tell all you, yellow is the code. Yellow is the code. And yellow is going to remain the code. Because Ms. Kamala Prasad Bisesa, our brand new Prime Minister, she understands the assignment. So don't feel all they come in with all their strategies and all their shots to try to bring she down. No. We, the social media activists, well, I counted myself as one now because I build my name. We are the watchdogs and we will make sure that they happen. Because Ms. Prasad Bisesa is going to put the people before the party. Watch how this Wonder Woman will work. All they need to sit down now.
I had a good laugh today when I was listening to the Minister of Finance wrap up debate on the appropriations bill, the budget, in the Senate. And this is why I had to laugh. Because he referred to this that was posted by the Opposition United National Congress, a statement by Dr. Tim Gopi Singh, and he said PNM tries to stifle the truth about the sound health of the leader of the opposition in today's Senate debate. Mind you that this was the budget debate and not a debate about the opposition leader herself. And this is why I laughed, because of the response by Colin Imbert, Minister of Finance, and by the leader of government business in the Senate. Look at what happened.
Mr. President, hold on, what is that? He said the PNM tries to stifle the truth about the health of the opposition leader in today's Senate debate. He posted that honorable senator votes. I don't know what's going on. I came here to debate this. It's called an act to provide for the service of Trinidad and Tobago for the financial year ending on the 30th day of September 2024. Which part of this bill has three clauses? The first clause is the title. The second clause is the issue from the consolidated fund. The third clause is the schedule. Here's the schedule. Heads of expenditure, President, Auditor General, Judiciary, Parliament, etc. Which part of this, Mr. President, which part of this is the health of the opposition leader? Which part of that? He's a mental D.
Minister Imbert normally comes in for a lot of licks from members of the public from time to time. But I think this time he has a point, you know. I mean, the debate was on the budget. It had nothing to do with the leader of the opposition, and you're guided by what is being tabled and what you're supposed to talk about. I mean, it is just what it is. What do you think about it? A little comedy show inside the Senate today.
The average salary in Trinidad and Tobago is $3,500 to about $6,000 by my calculation. That is just on looking at the economy, having an understanding of people and their buying power, having an understanding of companies and their ability to pay. what they are paying, and also looking at what makes up the larger percentage of workers in most companies in this country. In other words, what is the composition and the breakdown of our workforce? So the majority of persons would be earning between $3,500 to about $6,000 per month. If you want to step it up a bit, you could stretch it to $6,500. You could stretch it to that. Now, here's why I say that, right? And first, I'll start by addressing some misinformation that has been circulating on the internet, which is persons looking at Google information, which will tell you that the average income in this country is anywhere between 7,000 to, let's say, 10, 11,000. Yeah, Google is giving some crazy figures. Now, here's why Google is doing that. And I would even go as far as to say, based on the institution, if you approach a financial institution, they might actually say the same thing. It's because we are looking at the word average, and we may be asking the wrong question. Now, there are three ways that we have been taught that we could average something. We could use the mean, the mode, and the median. Remember that topic in primary school? Well, it's coming back right now, and it's very relevant. So your mean would be the sum total of the number of things divided by the number of things. So let's say you have three persons. If person number one is earning $2, person number two is earning $3, and person number three is earning $4, you will add the first person, second person, and third person, which would give you 2 and 3 is 5, and 5 and 4 is 9, because remember it's $2, $3, and $4, and then you divide that 9 by the number of persons, which is 3 persons. So 9 divided by 3 is 3. So then you would say the average income based on a means test, a means formula, is $3. Now, why is that incorrect? Because guess what? Person number one has never experienced $3, or may have not experienced $3. Person number three may not have ever experienced $3. You get where I'm going with this, right? It does not factor in what person's genuine experience is. This is just looking at numbers. It's mainly relevant for doing something like income projection for a company. That's more relevant if you're doing an income projection for a company. So for example, if a company has 12 months of income, you could say, okay, what is the sum total of the 12 months and divided by 12 months? So that would rule out months that you were performing low, because overall you still was making an average of X, Y, and Z, and you could justify it by your bottom line, which is the figure that the company would reflect in its bank account at the end of 12 months. But when you're dealing with salaries, the means test is incorrect. Now let's check out the second way that we use to check averages, which is the median test. Now the median test simply looks at the middle point, which is what we also refer to as the average. So the middle point would say, for example, you have three persons, one person earning $2, the other person earning $3, the other person earning $4. The middle point there is the person earning $3, so we would say the median is 3. And that's it. And if you scale it up, if you have 7 persons, person number 4 would be the median. If you scale it up again, if you have, you see where I'm going with this. You'll always pick that middle point guy. Now, guys, this is very dangerous as well. And here's why this is dangerous. Because if you say in 7 persons, the first 3 persons are earning X amount of money, the 4th person is earning X amount of money, and then the balance of 3 persons is earning X, and you're going up in tier, then that using that middle point does not cater for the fact that the first 3 persons has never experienced that amount of money, and they probably will never experience that amount of money. But yes, guys, that's what the median approach does. Now let's go to the last one, the mode. The mode. Now wait, hold on. Here's when the median is relevant. The median is relevant if you want to say, for example, you're going in terms of hierarchy of salaries. So if you have a median of 7,000 and you have the 2 sides of that median, so let's say the bottom side of that chart is 4,000, the top end of that chart is 10,000, and the median point is 7,000, then let's say we're looking at promotions, we could see that most persons, when they reach the middle point of their career, they would earn $7,000. That's when a median approach is actually relevant. However, it does not cater for the fact that the vast majority of persons will not reach the middle point type salary, or at any given point in time, if you're going to take a snapshot of our society, the vast majority of workers actually make up what is called entry-level jobs. So that's where the median is not applicable. Now, then, let's do the favorite approach of myself, which is the mode approach. The mode focuses on what most occurs, what is the most common thing. So where employment is concerned and salaries, that is to say, if we have 5 people and the first 3 people are making $2, then we have one person making $3, and then we have 2 persons remaining making $5. Well, then the mode will be the first 3 people because 3 makes up the majority of 5. 3 is the larger share. So we could do like a pie chart, and we just start cutting it out, and you'd realize that 3 makes up the larger share. Now, why is this the most relevant way of approaching the conversation about what is the average salary in Trinidad and Tobago? Because when persons ask what is the average salary of Trinidad and Tobago, what they are really trying to say is, what are most people working for? And when you ask what are most people working for, that is a mode approach. That is a mode approach. That is saying what is the most common salary that you would encounter. And that would give a proper perspective of why a lot of persons would argue when you say the average salary in Trinidad is 7,000 to 10,000. I'm going to say, but I've never met anybody in my life making that money. And in the event that I do, that person is rare. So, a groundsman can say that, a grassroots man can say that, because guess what? He forms part of the larger percent of our society, which would be entry-level jobs or low qualification requirement type jobs. And most of these jobs would pay from minimum wage to probably about $5 above minimum wage per hour. So if minimum wage in this country is $20.50 per hour, most jobs will pay $20.50 per hour up to about $25 per hour. Because that is what the employers are generally capable of paying. And here's what I mean. I know a lot of people are going to say, no, plenty of people making real money and this, that, and the other. Guys, to support staff is not an easy mathematical equation. It's not. And mind you, employers will always seek to pay the figure that strikes a delicate balance between allowing the company to stay in a profitable position for its investors, if it's a very large company, so that it can now reward its investors who has been instrumental in the company's existence in the first place, and also rewarding its workers for keeping the company operating. So there's always that balance that companies are trying to strike. Now that is for large companies that have investors. I bet your bottom dollar, smaller companies are literally paying what they could afford to pay. If you all only know how difficult it is to pay somebody minimum wage, start a business and then you would see how hard it is to get to the point to even pay minimum wage. And the majority of companies form part of the SME category, small to medium enterprise, and vast majority being sole traders. So guys, stop using these large companies. And even if you use the large companies, the majority of their workforce literally is persons who are making minimum wage and just above it. Just above it. Literally. So I don't know what workforce people are using when they're making this calculation. And I don't know what measure that they are using to make this calculation, but I'm willing to bet it's a means approach where they are simply adding up all of the income that they have encountered and dividing it by the number of incomes that they have assessed, and then they are getting a figure. And guess what? I'll use one last example. If you have 5 persons, the first 4 earns $1 per month, and the 5th person earns $20 per month, you are going to have to divide 24 by 5. And then that will tell you what is the average income based on using a means test, a means formula approach. And that will not consider the fact that the first 4 people has never seen, right, the figure that you're going to come up with. So, guys, be guided.
And when they ask me why I support the PNM, it is because of this.
Mr. President, thank you for the opportunity to make this personal statement. Mr. President, over the past few weeks, I have been the subject of much public commentary, criticism, and speculation, arising out of matters connected to my role on the Public Administration and Appropriations Committee. Mr. President, from the moment I was sworn in as a senator, I have sought to discharge my duties with integrity, in good faith, and in the public interest. I recognize that my involvement in this matter has given rise to public concern and has contributed to a level of controversy that risks distracting from the important work of this honorable Parliament and from the issues affecting the people of Trinidad and Tobago. For that, I apologize unequivocally to the citizens of our country and to the members of this Senate. It was not my intention to obstruct or impede the work of the committee or the Parliament, and I deny that I conspired to commit a contempt of Parliament. I remain committed to the principles of integrity, fairness, and respect for the rule of law that have guided my professional life, and I will continue to uphold those values in my service to this country. I hereby inform this Senate and the national community that I have offered my resignation to the honorable leader of the opposition. Thank you.
We witnessed Senator Bates submit her resignation because the office was brought into disrepute, and she apologized in Parliament. She did the classic Westminster thing, where if our office is brought into disrepute, you resign. If things happen under your remit and it is out of control, you resign. I can't recall when last I've seen a public official do something as honorable as that and put their resignation on the line and say, listen, I did what I did, the house is in disrepute, and we go forward. Because watch this. Because today in Parliament, there are ministers who have brought their office into disrepute even before they became ministers. Those who are on bail, those who were found fraternizing with persons in the criminal elements, but yet no tender of resignation. So as unfortunate this situation was, I hope those who look at how she handled and conducted herself, you could have taken a lesson or a page from that book. There are persons who are governing over Parliament and these things, and there are questionable things are wrong with them, but still they govern. What? Chalk and cheese. That is why I personally support the People's National Movement. Integrity. The honorable thing. Senator Bates, mad respect.
So they want to give you the impression that they somehow, their presence in government will put an end to criminal conduct. When they were in office, there was significant criminal misconduct. As a matter of fact, way back when Basdio Pandy's tenure, they killed 2 people inside the Prime Minister compound. You remember that story? So what is this magic that they have that if they're in office, crime going to disappear? And of course, they don't want to deal with anything good. Up comes a pandemic. The whole world is fighting it. What did the UNC do during the pandemic? Did you ever hear them one day saying, Trinidad and Tobago, let's ban our belly, let's wash our hands, let's put on our masks? You ever hear that? During that pandemic that lasts almost 3 years, can anybody in this room point to one day, one occasion, when our friends and colleagues and cousins in the UNC took the position to say, let us hold hands and fight this invisible killer? But they took a position, their official position is that they will not support anything that the government is doing, that the government brings, because they want the country to collapse. Every Monday morning they're going to the courthouse, taking the doctors and the nurses and the government to the courthouse, lying to the court about things that were not happening. It got as far as the Privy Council, when the Privy Council eventually ruled that the government acted properly in the action it has taken to protect the people of Trinidad and Tobago. So I tell you this so you could know, it have two kind of people in Trinidad and Tobago. People who are for Trinidad and Tobago and people who are against Trinidad and Tobago. What kind of people is that? You want your own country to collapse so that you could get office?
The government is playing with fire and they need to stop it. In another paragraph of the judgment, the judge goes on to highlight what is said by our Caribbean Court of Justice in relation to freedom of expression. And he quotes from the Chief Justice of the Caribbean Court of Justice, Justice Saunders. And Justice Saunders in another case said this: freedom of expression conduces to the enhancement of our democratic values. It is a necessary condition for the effective pursuit of truth. It heightens the ability of the citizenry fully to participate in making decisions. By being able freely to ventilate grievances, a healthy social pressure valve is created and utilized. And listen to this. The Caribbean Court of Justice, Chief Justice says this: if this valve is clogged or its use denied, the result could be violent and dangerous expression. The government is playing with fire and they need to stop it. We cannot allow this to continue.
What's up, beautiful people of Trinidad and Tobago? So we just did a video about the last election, like most of you voted in and now they regret. And that's what we're gonna do today again. And we will be talking about the UNC voters, UNC supporters, die-hard supporters. So the election is already over in Trinidad and Tobago. But the reality is setting in slowly by slowly. And that's what we're going to focus on today, because a lot of things are changing in Trinidad and Tobago. Not the government, not the opposition, but the people. The people are having a very different conversation now. And this conversation sounds very, very different. The excitement of election season is gone. The celebrations that they were having, dancing and all that, over. Campaign rallies over. Now comes the difficult part, the reality. And for many Trinidadians, or rather Trinis, reality is raising a lot of questions. Questions about the expectations, questions about their future. So today we're going to talk about why some Trinidadians are becoming frustrated, and why is it that others are urging other people to be patient, and why is it that the national debate is becoming more intense every day, every week, every month. So my good people, the mood has changed, as you can see. And if you think back to election period, those days, the atmosphere was electric, energetic. I mean, people just wanted change. People wanted hope, and people wanted something extremely different, you see. So in Trinidad, many people believed that if we elect in a new government, they are going to quickly improve things and change things, you know. So many expected like immediate action. You vote UNC today, tomorrow you see action. Many people expected like immediate results, and of course, hope in politics is normal. It's something very normal, because every elections normally creates expectations. And of course, if you picture the promises, the bigger promises that they were told, the bigger expectations, and now those expectations are being tested. Oh my God, not by the campaign speeches, not by political advertisement, but by reality in the ground. Hey, hey, by everyday life, how people are living. I mean, that's how the testing is coming in. So people are looking for outcomes. We elected you. What are we seeing now? So if you look at many people that voted in UNC, they are tired, they're frustrated, and they're like, no, we are no longer going to listen to promises. And then they want results, and results is just the same as evidence. You said that you are going to lower taxes. Tell us which tax has gone down. You said that you're going to do this road. Tell us which road has already been done. I mean, people want to see progress, improvement, and feel the difference, you see. They want to feel the difference. And, in politics also and governance, difference matters a lot, because at some point politics becomes personal in some way, because it tends to affect jobs, bills, groceries, security, everyday life that you live outside there in whatever thing you do. So when people don't see the outcome, the improvement that they expected in their country, oh my God, what happens? They get frustrated, right? In the beginning, when the conversation is starting, it seems to be slowly, and then it gets louder and louder and louder, and that is exactly what we are seeing in Trinidad and Tobago. Remember that, my good people, internet never forgets, right? And that's one of the biggest differences that we have today, because social media, you say something today, after 10 years, they play for you the clip. Oh my God, and you don't have anywhere to run to. So if you go to the ground and promise people that you're going to do to them something, it's recorded. People have smartphones. Like 10 years ago, people didn't have smartphones, so they didn't have these recorded conversations. And that is why you normally see when politicians are doing debates, probably they get a difficult time explaining themselves, because they're asked a question, they answer, and then they play the clip. In that clip, they don't even remember what they said. Hey, it's terrible. And every statement that you make whilst promising, hey, it's remembered. Every interview that you have ever done and said about something, it's very, very available. Every campaign speech that you have ever said, anything in that, it gets replayed every now and then. So at the end of the day, you'll find that people, or rather Trinidadians, they are comparing what was promised versus what is happening now. And of course, in these particular conversations that we normally have, we get to put ourselves in the shoes of a supporter that really supports UNC, and somebody that is in the middle there, neutral, and somebody that has shifted the goal, and now they don't want UNC, they're probably going to another party, the opposition, and all that. So if you look at the entire scenario, you'll see some people supporting, like, yeah, we need to be patient about this. Things take time. Things go slowly. It's not like it's just happen like that, because at the end of the day, these things need to be budgeted, and this budget goes through a process, and that process doesn't take hours or a day, it takes months, you see. I mean, they're just trying to justify like why things or why this progress and promises and improvements have to take time. So social media is something that is really of challenge now, because everything, the truth is stored there. So you cannot say otherwise except to agree, to be in agreement with that. So for those who already jumped ship and they no longer support UNC, they believe that, oh, enough is enough. Time has already gone, like, too much. So it's difficult anyway. I don't know, because by now people are starting to say that come the next election, we're not going to re-elect UNC led by Kamala Passad. I don't know. So for many families in Trinidad and Tobago, the biggest issue is money. And because people feel the pressure of the cost of living, the food prices, the cost of transport, bills, I mean, just these simple things, they do matter a lot because you see, ordinary people, most of the time, they get to judge governments through their wallets, how they feel in the ground. If they get sick, can they easily access an hospital? Can their children easily access school and basic needs food? Can they pay rent easily without so much pressure? Yeah, that's what they do. If it feels harder and harder, then frustrations will definitely increase. But if it feels easier, then confidence and trust grows in the government, and that's how governance and politics often works. People may disagree on ideology, but at the end of the day, everyone understands that, the cost of living affects us, all of us, not just the supporters or, just everybody. So this is why the economic concerns remain at the center of our conversation today. And if you talk about crimes in TNT, it continues to, dominate most of the conversations that happen in Trinidad and Tobago. And many people are saying that their safety remains a priority. At the end of the day, they want security, they want peace, they want stability, and parents do want assurance, that this crime will go down. And because remember, at the end of the day, crime affects confidence of the people. It affects investments. If an investor wanted to go do something and then they hear that there is insecurity, they're not going to invest in that particular place. And if they had invested, it would have benefited the government and the people also, because they're going to get employed. And also, crime affects tourism and everyday life, because if you go out, you have to ensure that by probably 5 or 6 p.m. you are back in the house. And if there could have been security, probably you could have continued working like up to even for 24 hours, So whenever major incidences happen in TNT, the people will come out and talk. And of course, this frustration increases with time, because people want solutions, people want actions, results, and they want them very, very quickly, not slowly, the way some believe that things are, it just takes patience. So of course, at the end of the day, not everybody is disappointed, and that is very important to remember, actually, because there are also those supporters that believe these expectations and promises are unrealistic, and they're saying that serious national problems cannot be fixed overnight. And in this particular politics, most governments inherit challenges from the previous governments, and we need to also understand that. So rebuilding will definitely take time. Patience is necessary at the end of the day, and yeah, it's understandable anyway. So if you look at both sides of the story, yeah, it's very understandable. So of course, Trinidadians need to be given a fair opportunity, and they need also, the ordinary people need to allow policies to work and plans to develop and also reforms to take effects, right? So of course, we'll still talk about this. I don't know what you think about it. Kindly comment down below. We really need your input here, because yeah, probably you could have something else that you think about what you're talking about, and we'll really appreciate if you go down there in the comment section and let us know. So my good people, we have criticizers in each and every conversation of ours or in everyday life. And of course, they see things differently, like just the way the supporters see things differently. So for those who don't support this government, the UNC government, they believe that these promises were urgent, and that is why it was in their manifesto. And they believed that these expectations were created by the campaign itself, so that they can come in and fix. And because those expectations were created, they should now be met then. Because they're like, what was the point of you not writing down this manifesto and promises and everything, and you're not meeting them? No. So they're like, this leadership thing should produce visible results, not explanations, not excuses, not excuses, just results. The people want to see, and that is what they believe in. They strongly believe in. So, as you can see, like even in our clips today, more of them are becoming more vocal, more louder, and especially in these online platforms and public discussions. And whenever new controversies emerge about the government, and it's not in a good way, they have to be in discussing it. So there is something that you call the power of expectations. You see, this is the biggest issue in most countries, especially in leadership and governance, because expectations, they do help governments to win elections. Expectations, we are expecting you to do this and this and this. They play a major role in electing a party into governance, but these expectations can also become a burden if the expectations themselves are too high. It will create or cause disappointments, and that is not going to be good, because you are going to lose more supporters. There will be a lot of frictions here and there. So if you give out high expectations, people will expect a rapid transformation and try to visualize it in their mind. And if reality doesn't come in then and becomes much slower, then the government tends to have very huge obstacles very huge obstacles, and things become complicated, because you see, these people will become impatient and the tension will grow, high frustrations. And now you start seeing people in the streets, like even what is happening in TNT. You see the police brutality thing, it's in the streets of Joshua Samaru and Kaya Sele. You've seen what's happening. Anyway, my good people, political memories are very, very short, and politics move very, very fast at the end of the day. If you hear a politician promising something yesterday, by today it becomes a conversation, a question that people get to discuss so that they can be able to understand, because most of them, they use parables and all that. If you hear something being talked about, like encouraging people and all that, it becomes in some way it will be scrutinized. And yeah, that's how many governments feel the pressure, and every decision, of course, will matter at the end of the day. Every mistake matters at the end of the day. Every success matters. Everything matters, because everything is watched and everything will be judged. That's what you have to really accept. That is the reality of governance and leadership. Everything is discussed, everything is watched, and everything is judged. So what will happen next to T&T? Because that's the most important question. What will happen next? Can the government regain the momentum that they had? Can they improve that particular confidence? I mean, can major conversations be discussed and addressed like immediately? Will the citizen begin seeing the progress that they expected? Nobody knows for sure, but one thing is certain: the public is paying attention, very close attention, and that attention is unlikely to fade away anytime soon, honestly speaking. So I don't know if you learned something here, because honestly, for me, I learned a very big lesson, and not just for Trinidad and Tobago, but for every democratic nation in this world, that elections are not the finish line, they are the starting line, by the way. Winning power is very difficult, but using power effectively is even harder. Campaigns, they create hope most of the time, and governments create results at the end of the day. So this is the challenge that most democratic administrations face in this world, and there are no exemptions, my good people. So elections are over in TNT. Reality are setting. Citizens are still remaining hopeful, and of course, others are very, very disappointed. Most people are even very frustrated, but we are thankful that at least we have those that are still waiting, and we are all watching. At the end of the day, we are watching carefully, by the way, and closely to know what will really happen next, because at the end of the day, the voters are the ones that are going to decide come the next elections, not the politicians or us. or social media. It's the voters at the end of the day, a registered voter in fact. So I don't know what to think about this particular video today. Are Trinidadians' expectations too high? Is being frustrated justified, or simply is it like too early to judge the UNC government? Thank you so much. Let me know in the comment section what you think. If you enjoyed this particular commentary, don't hesitate to like, subscribe, and share the video. I'll see you guys every day. Expect us here to talk to you about what's happening in the Caribbean island, and I'll see you guys every day. Expect a video. Thank you so much.